It was just Christmas, and what did we get for Christmas from the most powerful person in our country, Donald Trump? Well, you got two things at least. One was this website, so let's take a look at a screenshot from snowflakevictory.com. This was spread by Trump's campaign, and it's how to win an argument with your liberal relatives, because going into the holidays, that's what you should be thinking about. You know, like Jesus would. So first of all, to give an idea of the sorts of suggestions they have, let's leave that up for 1 second because there's two things there you need to see. So one, they provide evidence to present in arguments. The first is the Trump economy is strong, and I thought, well, that's a good point. I don't know how to respond to that. But anyway, the second thing is I just want to briefly mention this because our producer Sophie brought this up. The website is literally snowflakevictory.com. And I get what they're going for. What they're going for is a victory over snowflakes, but that's not how you'd put it for anything else. If you were like back in the early 40s preparing to storm Berlin, it wouldn't be like strategies at germanvictory.com. Why is it snowflake victory? Anyway, small point, but to give an idea of the other sort of advice they're arming MAGA heads for before they sit down for like quiche and goose or whatever, let's take a look at some of their suggestions. So there was no quid pro quo. Democrats always obsessed with impeachment. That's gonna sway your aunt who doesn't like Trump. Joe Biden threatened to withhold $1 billion in aid from Ukraine unless they fired the prosecutor looking into the company where his son worked. That has not been debunked. So if you have to put that has not been debunked, when by the way, important note, it 100% has been debunked, that's funny. Their next point is just in all caps the words big government socialism. I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. And then Trump is proving it's possible to have a strong economy and a clean environment at the same time. Here's the thing, that claim is true except for the Trump part. It is 100% possible to have a strong economy and a clean environment. He's just not interested, honestly, in either part of that, really. He's interested in investors getting a payoff. He's not interested in the strength of the economy when it comes to the actual people contributing to it. And he certainly doesn't care about the environment. Google Trump clean air, Trump clean water, Trump waters of the Americas, Trump coal plants. Google anything you want basically, and it's gonna prove how inaccurate that is. But unfortunately, I wasn't at these dinner tables, so I guess they just had snowflakevictory.com to educate people with. So that's one thing Trump gave you for Christmas this year. The other present under your tree was no food stamps, unfortunately, and other cuts to programs, anti-poverty programs, programs to make sure that people have food, especially in the holidays. We're talking about some of the poorest people in America that they have aid for heating their homes, feeding their kids, those sorts of things. And look, we've talked about that a lot on the program, but thankfully for the holidays, two very notable politicians wrote a piece in The Guardian. This is Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib. And Bernie tweeted out a link to this saying, as the new year approaches, let us commit to fighting for a government and an economy that works for the overwhelming majority of the people. That is how we will make food security a human right in America. Okay, so on the one hand, you have Trump, he's giving you ways to start a fight with your relatives and the holidays. By the way, like I grew up and I was lucky, I didn't see a bunch of fights at Thanksgiving or at Christmas, but I hear on TV and movies that it's very common. You don't need to help people produce that, it's just a thing that sort of comes. So he gives you fights at the dinner table. Bernie's trying to give you food if you can't afford it. And I wanna delve into a little bit of what Bernie and Rashida Tlaib wrote in this piece because I think it's important, and especially in the holidays, I don't want these sorts of stories to fall by the wayside. I don't want people to look back on the Trump years and just remember the highest profile scandals, Russia, Ukraine, things like that. I want you to remember the damage that was done usually in the dark, to regular people, people who don't have a lot of advocates in the media. And so we do have some light being shed on that with Bernie saying, and Rashida, just in time for the holidays, Trump has finalized the first of 3 policies that will make this disparity between the rich and the poor even more obscene. 2 years after passing a $1.5 trillion tax giveaway to the wealthiest Americans and large corporations, the Trump administration plans to strip 3.7 million people of their nutrition benefits. And the two go on to break down some of the different ways that this is being accomplished. The administration's first step is to kick 700,000 adults off of nutrition assistance as they struggle to find work. The second step, trying to punish families who have high childcare and housing costs. And third, they want to hurt families who already are making difficult choices between food and heat. And so they're summarizing a number of different benefits cuts generally targeted at the extremely poor. And historically, if you are new to American politics, The American government has not been overly generous with benefits to people who most need it. Cutting it now is insult to injury. And he sums up some examples from different states around the country. Vermont could see a 30% cut to benefits, and 1 in 5 low-income people who rely on nutrition assistance could no longer be eligible to participate. In Michigan, about 1 in 7 would be kicked off food aid. And so in those 2 states, I mean, you are seeing measurable percentages of the entire needy population being cut off their benefits in one fell swoop in the holiday season from the Trump administration. And the argument that they would make, that conservatives make, is that if we want these people to become self-sufficient, we need to make them want it and need it. And nobody needs to work more than someone who literally can't eat unless they're working. But if you talk to the people who are actually working with these communities, they say that it is not so simple. These people aren't just lazing about eating their government cheese. They're looking for, some of them are not healthy enough to actually work. Some, because you've made it impossible for them to actually own their own car, can't afford to get to jobs that might otherwise want to hire them. It's a complex situation. And simply cutting the benefits is not necessarily the best way to help these people. But if you are trying to square the books a little bit after passing trillions in tax cuts for the wealthy and corporations, it certainly makes sense for that goal, okay? Now, they close by saying we can start to fix the situation by increasing nutrition assistance by $47 per person per month. That is the shortfall between what low-income people need to prepare adequate meals and what they get in benefits. We should also significantly increase the income threshold for this program so everyone who needs help gets it. We must also guarantee that all school children get free breakfast and lunch at every public school in America. And those sorts of things, which are very rarely even said, and obviously you don't expect anything like that to happen under Donald Trump. That is not just obviously reasonable, but incredibly cost efficient for the benefit that you get. It would cost very little, a tiny little fraction of the tax cuts that were passed a couple of years ago, and think about the good that it would do. And so I'll leave you with those 2 things. Think about who is best exemplifying the holiday spirit. Is it Donald Trump, a person who has the power to accomplish virtually anything he wants? He could pass something like this in a day if he actually wanted to. Or is it politicians like Bernie Sanders and Rashida Tlaib who are using their time in the holidays to advocate for people who desperately need help? I will leave that up to you. Thank you for watching this clip from The Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.